Hey guys, how's everybody doing this Friday? Hello. Hello, hi. Time for SketchUp Live. How's it going, Gamborg? Martin in the desert. Chris coming from Canada. I'm doing pretty good. It's Friday, so that's pretty sweet. Got a holiday weekend coming up, so that's kind of cool too. All right. We'll give everybody just another minute or so to hop on. Don't want to short anybody, you know. Make sure everybody gets the full experience. TGIF. Absolutely. Long weekend. Canada Day is on July 1st. I didn't know that. I didn't know. I mean, I assumed Canada had a day. I just didn't know when that day was. Hello from Indonesia. Hello from United States. All right, let's do this thing over here. Let's get rid of Mark. All right. Somebody didn't come back. One sec. Just got a camera issue right now. I gotta go find something I can poke.
Nothing like drawing toilets on SketchUp. There you go.
Well, if that's not your definition of fun, you're in the wrong place.
Alejandro says Dwight Schrute would be very proud of you. I've been watching that lately.
It's good. You got to watch it now before Netflix takes it down.
Exactly.
Excuse me. This is loud. Loud noise. Okay, done. Sorry. Camera turned off there for a second. I don't know what that was about. But back up and running now. That's the important part. Yeah, I hope you guys are everybody's doing good. It's Friday. And just give a couple shout outs here. And this guy's going to get totally spoiled because the Best Bus Ever competition winner, Brian Saldana, posted on the forum last week that he needed help designing this sink. So he just kind of said, you can read it. It's right here. Please help me. That was in the morning before we started streaming. I was kind of waking up, stretching the fingers, that kind of thing. And I decided, well, I'll give it a shot real quick. So about 20 minutes or so, I modeled the sink and sent him a file. And I did not accept the payment, his $50. I told him to save it. It didn't seem ethical to model that while at work and then charge him. That seemed like a conflict of interest of some sort. So anyhow, this is a thing that happened. So I created this sink and posted it. And what happened was CJ Ryan, another forum user, posted in our ongoing "What would you like to see modeled" thread that I should go grab some spec sheets from manufacturers and maybe model some fixtures for one of these. And that seemed like a great idea. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hop in and we're gonna actually model some fixtures, a handful of them. So that's where we're going now. So I fell behind on some highs. How's it? Angola, Texas, y'all. Hello from what? Just lost video again. One moment, please.
Oh no.
Why is this not staying on? See if this works. I think I have a bad power supply. I think that's the problem. Or a bad surge suppressor. Surge protector. Am I getting power to my computer right now? I'm not.
Just fixing some video errors. We'll be right back.
Thanks for coming by, guys. All right, give me one moment. I'll be right back.
Guess what we're live modeling? Can you tell on the screen? Cosmic event. Yes, that's exactly what we are modeling.
Darkness.
A black hole.
Oh, I heard a good noise. Oh, good things. You know, this is all my fault because I started setup around 10 and I was completely done at like 10:40 and I was like, oh, I so got this thing down. This is so easy to set up now. No big deal. So by saying those words out loud, I really,
Jinxed yourself.
yeah, I brought this upon myself. This was the problem, a bad power strip. The camera was plugged into it and it wouldn't stay on. So anyhow, let's try this all again. Hey, happy Friday. All right. I'm good. Glad you guys were keeping yourselves entertained. I apologize for that. And let's get rolling. Let's do this thing. So, I already told the story. We're gonna model some bathroom fixtures. So I'm just gonna hop right into that. I did make a little bathroom to work in, just because as I was making it, I was moving stuff around and just kind of making up the space. I didn't think that would be real entertaining to spend the first half hour watching lines get put in and then moved in order to make it more cramped. So basically I was trying to make a not real exciting place that I have to put fixtures into. I wanted to make something that was going to be a tight fit like a lot of bathrooms really are. And I did that and didn't force you guys to watch. One of the cool things I did do, so working inside of a shape like this can be rough because it's a little tight. So if you're looking straight down from above, you can see into it, but as soon as you move from the side or try to step inside, of course, you can get a little cramped. So I took all my wall materials and actually made the back halves of them transparent. So the back face materials all see-through. So that means I can spin around as I'm doing this and see inside. I can't select inside. So this, if I pick right here in the group, and say I am actually picking the wall, but the wall material you can see is set to transparent, so you can't actually see it. If you look at it on the inside, you can, but the outside is set to be see-through. So this is just going to make it easy for us to put these fixtures we create into the room and spin around and see inside the room and see how everything looks without having to, cut sections to see how does the bathtub look. To be honest, the goal, what I actually want to spend time working on today, has more to do with creating the fixtures from the specification sheets as opposed to doing interior design on a bathroom. So what I created was just this thing where a 60-inch tub will fit right here, a toilet will fit with code required clearance right here, and I have a spot for 2 sinks to drop into this counter. That was kind of what I wanted to establish. That's my establishing model. So with that, we need to actually go create the stuff that's going to go into these spaces. So that's where we're going to spend time today. I hope that works for everyone, because that's what I have planned. Hey, also check it out. This is a white cup, and you can't see through it. Used to be that wasn't the case. This used to turn me invisible. And I can wear any of my shirts that have white on it. The green screen did eliminate 2 of my shirts that now I can't wear because they're green, but, I got more white than I got green, so it works. All right, so having said all of that, let's hop in here. Yeah, we should actually just have more outlets, Dave. You're absolutely right. I don't know if you guys, I've mentioned this before, but we're retrofitting a conference room into our studio. So we're actually working with what we got right now. It's something. All right, and so I already had a question, so just to throw this out here. In my left hand is the 3D Connection Space Mouse Enterprise. You can actually see that name there. Let's see right there. I don't know. It is a 3D mouse, so it allows me to move around in 3D in here without touching my regular mouse. Oops. This mouse is from a different computer. We can move that off screen. It also has a bunch of shortcut keys on here you can use to just kind of facilitate and speed up modeling. So, all right, enough of that. So here we have our bathroom, and we need to put some fixtures in here. I figured we'd start with the biggest one. We'll put the tub in. So over here, I just loaded up a bunch of PDFs. I downloaded stuff from the Kohler and Moen website. So we're just going to use these as reference. Okay, so here's our first piece that we're going to put in. This is a tub, specifically a K716 if you're interested. That's all the tub lingo I know is the title at the top. Other than that, it's just a tub. So we're going to take this and we're going to model this. I don't think I'll actually model it in place. I think I'll just model it outside and drop it in. So I think that this is what we'll work off of. I may actually, whoa, look at that. I instinctively grabbed my 3D mouse and started moving it around, and it actually works for zooming and panning inside of Illustrator.
Ooh, that's nice.
That's very cool. Or not Illustrator, Acrobat. Cool. Learned something new. All right, so there's a couple ways I could do this. If I had 2 monitors, I could just have this up on one screen and then SketchUp in another and model it that way. I could do the thing that you guys have seen me do a lot where I just take an image and put it in as a watermark. That way I have reference on the screen. In this case, I'm thinking what I might actually do is screenshot this portion of the spec sheet and import it to scale and actually draw on top of it. So, all right. And then over here, I could model inside here, but just because it's the way I work, I'm going to go ahead and start a new model. And in this new model, I'm going to say File, Import. And I'm going to import that image one more time. Let's say File, Import. And this time, we're going to import it as an image. All right, that's one. And I'm just gonna drag it large. We'll scale it in just a second. All right, so that looks like it should be enough information for what I have to model. All right, I'm gonna start by drawing a line on top of the image right here. So I'm trying to go from about center of this line. See, when you zoom in, compared to what is actually an edge or a line, this big blurry mass right here is pretty big. So I'm gonna try to go from about center to about center and draw a line right there. I'm gonna use that line now to scale the drawing to proper size. The reason I draw a line first, I could come in here and just say click, click, and then tell it what size that thing or that dimension, or that reference line I just drew is. By drawing a line first, I can always come back and verify. So I always create that first edge in the model first, and then come in with the tape measure tool and tell it, click, click, that is 60, enter. You want to resize the model? Yes, I do. All right, so there we go. That makes sense. I mean, that's, if you look at Mark's, if he bent in half, would fit in that tub type space. I got something weird going on because of the field of view. I'm gonna set my field of view back to 35. It got changed because I imported that first image as a photo match, so it started to distort my field of view to make that photo match happen. All right, so I'm gonna start with the rectangle. That rectangle is just gonna be the outside shape of my finished tub. So I'm gonna come here to this point, I'm gonna come up here, and I'm actually gonna type in 30.25. I am, of course, 0.25. I'm working in an architectural template right now, so I am inputting in decimal inches. All right, so that is my initial rectangle. One of the things you'll notice, or I hope you noticed, is that gave me a surface. I have an entire surface right now. You know what I'm gonna do is first thing I'm gonna pull this up 14 inches. That's what's specified right here. You can see we do have a little bit of a rounded corner. We'll come back and round that in just a few minutes. Right now, I just want that space like that.
Dave wants to know if you could temporarily edit the style and change the edge color to red or something, so it would be easier to see.
Sure, I could do that. I can do that anytime I want. I don't even need to ask anybody, I can just do it. Like that, is that better? Is that easier to see? Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down.
What do you think, Dave?
I'm just reading comments as I wait for the response.
Yep, looks good. Thumbs up.
It sounds like
And a heart. Ooh, we got a heart.
Ooh, sounds like there's a little bit of a lag, but yeah, okay, that works. Sure, yeah, and one of the other questions was modeling or turning out by axes. I actually do this a lot when I model things that are supposed to be on specific axes. I do use that a lot. Some people get confused by it, but I'll model with this reddish color for right now. That sounds pleasant. That sounds lovely. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hop to a top view, and I'm what I want to get now is I just want to trace this shape. I don't have a whole lot of dimensions for what this shape is, but I do have the shape here. So what I'm gonna do this. It's not actually centered in the rectangle, you see that. I'm actually just off axes. So I'm gonna draw a line to divide that top face, and then off that face, I'm gonna draw some lines here, just to kind of square up so I can see what it is I'm drawing. All right. something like that. It looks like this is actually an arc right here that goes into an arc that goes into a pretty much a straight line, and then same thing back here. I have a big arc that goes into a sharper arc, and then I have a couple straight lines. So I'm going to get my straight lines in first. Whoops, missed. Something like that. Oh no, these are arcs. They're very, very wide arcs. So I'm gonna put them in as arcs. Makes sense, right? All right, so I'm gonna go here to here, put in something like that. I'm gonna go from here to here, from here to here. So this is just the standard arc tool. I could probably use Bezier for these, but they're all such simple little arcs. I don't like to, not that Bezier is complicated, but I like to keep my workflow as simple as possible. And by clicking from one arc to the other, you saw that blue line showed up, which is showing tangent. It's actually just continuing that a smooth arc there. So if I get rid of all of this and I turn off my X-ray, that's what I got right now. And that looks beautiful. That's exactly what I want right now. To mirror it, I'm going to pick that surface. I'm going to use rotate to click and use option to just flip that over to the other side. There we go. All right, so that is the top of my tub. Now, let's talk level of detail. Hold on, I gotta get out of parallel projection before I get a headache. I'm very sensitive to that. So level of detail. Level of detail is incredibly important when you're modeling something like this, especially something that comes off of a real world object like this. It is possible, and I have very little actual detail here. You guys can see this is very simple, I know. So from the side, I have a 32 degree angle off of vertical sloping down, and then I have unspecified angle here sloping down towards the drain, and then almost no information. So I'm assuming this is it's pretty close to vertical. That's all the information I have right there. So with this, I can actually use this image to kind of get an approximation of the geometry there, but it's not going to be perfect. But as far as level of detail goes, it's always a good idea to model to the actual usage you're going to do. So if all I'm going to do, if this is getting dropped into, a model where the only intention is to just kind of figure where placement's going to be, I'm moving pieces around, this is meant to just represent a tub. All I need is a massive geometry that says tub. If that's the case, then I could actually take this, push this down like 13 inches. I may come in here and smooth these edges up a little bit, and that might be enough. That right there might be what I make into a group, which is a low level of detail bathtub. So that could be, I'm not saying that's what you have to do. I'm not saying that's your only option. I'm saying that isn't a consideration. You could do that way. I'm not gonna. We're gonna go a little bit further than that. But just again, something to consider. One of the things I'm gonna do right now that I have this all in here, double click and shift click to turn that off and get just the edges, and I'm going to weld it. Welding it assures that when it does come time to push pull like this, I'll get a nice smooth side like that rather than those breaks at the end of every curve. All right. Now, what I'm gonna do now, this line, I'm gonna take a copy of it and I'm gonna put it right here. And good thing I set that color to red because I wouldn't have been able to see it on top of the drawing. It's like Dave knew where I was going with that. Thanks, Dave. All right, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to trace this profile of the inside of the tub. cut this profile out also and project that the other way. I can take these three different solids, I can actually create solids out of it and merge them together to get one tub piece. We're doing 3 different ceramic-y type things. I think most tubs are made out of fiberglass now, but you know what I'm talking about. A toilet, sink, and tub. So I'm going to try to do them 3 different ways. So this one, I'm going to use solid tools. I'm going to use maybe some round corner or something like that. I think with the sink, maybe we'll loft that, and I think I will model a subdivided toilet. We also have a couple pairs of faucet or sets of faucets or hardware to model too. There's going to be hardware in the tub, and there is going to be hardware in the sink. So we will have to come back and model that as well. So we got lots of things to model. Less talky, more modelly. Okay. This says that it's 32 degrees from vertical. I don't know what 32 degrees is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a line like this. I'm going to grab by the bottom, I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag it to 32 degrees. Then I'm going to grab it by the end and just snap it to the end right there. Look at that. Manufacturer's drawing's not perfect.
Ooh.
Well, I guess we'll just can this live stream and try again some other time. All right, I'm going to grab a spot on this line and draw it past this way, and then trace right back down that line far the other way. Get rid of those, whoops, got rid of that too quick. All right, and I'm just, again, since I don't have an angle here, it's not specifically called out, I'm just gonna trace that line like that. And that's what we got so far. Turn on X-ray and come in here and throw some arcs like that. Double click will automatically remove the geometry. I'm going to approximate that since I don't have a solid reference line there, but that's about it. That's about the size of that tub. I'm going to take that and I'm going to make that into a group. And I'm going to take that group I'm going to swing it vertical. And just for right now, just to make sure everything fits, I'm going to drop it right in the middle of that tub. That looks good. All right, so that's the right general size. I do the same thing here. This gets a little weird because what I actually have right here, you see I have multiple lines here and here, because it actually changes profile, right? It's wider here than it is, or wider here in the middle than it is right here. So this line right here, that represents this thick part right here. This right here, I'm assuming since it's the highest point, is right here. Really, I'm at this point, I'm just trying to think of the best way to go about this. Really what matters, what's consistent, is this right here. Here, I need a reference line again. So I'm going to go this way this time. And I'll take these two lines, bring them over here, turn them 90 degrees. Let's see, where's the, call that the middle. All right, so with that, I'm looking at something like that. So that is about, actually I'm going to go from the middle here to just about here with an arc 2. Nope, that didn't work, did it? Because that's not. Just trying to get a nice gradual slope on the bottom. There's a couple of clicks. All right, so that is the profile, and I think, so if I look at, I'm trying to decide what to do here because I don't want this to be a headache for me. That is pretty same to the same profile depending on the width. So that angle, the side that comes down, is the same on all the different sides. So I'm just going to take that, make that a separate group, bring that vertical, and here, we'll turn it this way too. I'm going to stick that for right now, right here. So right now, I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm kind of feeling an urge to do some lofting because it seems like this would be easier to pull around here, but I'm not gonna loft right now. I'm gonna try to do this loftless. All right, so going back to what I was talking about before, let's see how this works. I don't actually know if this is gonna work or not. Delete these lines. So I'm going to take these two groups and I'm going to make solids out of them. So I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to make it big, both directions. I want to go past the full geometry of the tub. Open up this one and hide the rest of my model. This is the one I'm not quite sure what to do with because this profile changes so much. But just to start with, I'm gonna do the same thing here. Oop. I didn't weld. Got some broken geometry. All right, there we go. Same thing over here. Didn't weld. And I'll take this. Drop that in that space, and then same thing, pull it up. Put down, and then also clean up around the edges. So now, I'm curious, if I just intersect all of this with itself, each of these pieces, I just intersect them all together, what am I gonna have? So I'm gonna make a copy because this may well be disastrous. We'll have to see. Let's see, this is a group, this is a group, this is a group. This is not a solid. We're gonna run surface borders. Oh, what's that? Ah, I didn't grab the face when I made that that group. That was odd. All right. Fortunately, also an easy fix. All right. So now I have still not a solid group. What's wrong with it now?
Save.
Huh. Man.
The community's got your back.
One day. Yeah. Let's go ahead and let's do that. We're gonna call this tub. All right, so let's check that. Still have a surface border. All right, oh. So I must have just grabbed the outside edge when I made that group. I don't know how I did that. All right, now do we have a solid? Thank you. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna basically come up with the solid that's left just at the overlapping pieces. I can already think of one spot that's gonna be a little odd here, so we might have to back out of this, like I said. So I'm gonna just start by making a copy and setting it aside. Now, let's go in here, View, and turn on our Solid Tools. Get that, and then Solid 2 to other Solid 2, and we get this. It's something. It's not quite what we want, though. But it's something. Like I said, it's something. All right, so we got to work on that. That's not going to work. I don't know. That looks like it looks like something. It does not look like a tub. The biggest issues we have. So we have. This is decent. I mean, this profile looks okay. This kind of looks like what we're looking for. This, on the other hand, is not going to work. So we did get the cut at the middle, but it didn't come taper back. You can see that. So I think what we want to do, this is my thought, we're just going to make a lot of copies of things. I think I grabbed the wrong two. I want this and this, and bring them over here. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and explode these because I actually don't want most of this geometry. So what I'm thinking, dangerous thing to do, is that I want to take this profile and trace it around this edge. So I'm going to re-weld that.
What if you taper the vertical shape from Dave?
I could do that too. We'll try. There are no wrong answers right now,
So many
except for what I just did. That could work too. We'll try that also. That would actually that's probably the smarter way to do it. But then I would have to go back and apply the curve, which not all bad. Let's see. Let's do that also. There we go. Now I got one. Let's see what this does. My concern with doing this, the only reason I have pause here, why do you do that? I'll show you a little trick here. All right, explode that. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this, I'm gonna say follow me, and my follow me face is in a group right now, but I can right click, I can say edit group, and then click on the surface. That surface will then follow the path, even though that path is outside the group. And that gives me that, which is okay. Oop. Click in here. I got obviously there's some extra geometry here to be cleaned up, but overall, not too bad. Problem, of course, is we're missing this profile. So what I wonder, if I was to take all of that, let's run solid tools and see how much of that it'll fix. Not enough. All right, I'm just gonna go like this. I'm gonna scrub it with the eraser tool. And hope I don't create any holes in the mesh. Oh, looks like I'm okay. Oh, nope. See? As soon as I say something like that, it all falls apart. Kind of like, wow, I really set up without any problems at all, ready to live stream right now. Sometimes it's the only way you'll learn. Me. All right. Nope, that's not. I know. When am I going to stop talking? All right. Let's see now. I'm going to hop inside of here, and I'm going to start selecting and deleting surfaces rather than trying to drag and delete lines. Sometimes it's easier just click in, get rid of the surfaces, and then let something like clean up or solid tools get rid of those extra lines. I think that's okay. It's, looks good, looks good. This should be my intersection line. Just like this. Don't, too much. All right, I'm just gonna run cleanup. The problem, what's happening right now is because I took a whole half the tub, the biggest possible geometry, and did a follow me around, what I should have probably done was cut it as small as possible so I had less interacting geometry, or overlapping geometry, excuse me. Nah. Well, this isn't what we're using anyhow, so I'm not gonna mess it anymore. So I could come back through now and take a copy of this. This is actually gonna end up getting rid of half the geometry. See, that didn't even come low enough anyhow, because that tub's supposed to dip down to here. So yeah, this was not a good solution. We'll delete it and never speak of it again. All right. So Dave says, I'm going to take just these two and get an intersection of those two. See how that looks. And then what I might be able to do, but now here's, again, where I'm pausing. Select this. Some of this geometry. I don't think this is going to work with the intersection. I think I have to back up and do this a step earlier. If I take that and scale that this direction, no, I can't do it with regular scale, but I could do it with taper, potentially, Pareto scale. What I could do, this is fun, not really, sometimes it's fun to wing it. Maybe not for you guys, you're like, oh, come on, man. Let's see, maybe I'll start using these just as reference. So I'll take this to the lowest point right here, like that. And then maybe what I'll do is not worry so much about these round corners, come back to do the round corners later, and just use this as here. I should really just back up, because what I had when I started, before I started all this nonsense, not really nonsense, but what I really want to do is grab this shape right here, copy that, come out here and paste it, grab this shape right here, push this down to the full height of the tub, and I have the bottom height of the tub, that's the lowest part. Take that out here, and then for reference, I'm gonna make a group because I don't want to merge any geometry. I'll take this, bring it up like this, bring it around like this, slap this right here, hop into X-ray, and now take this and I can scale that to match that shape. My only problem right now is that I don't have the slope, but I could do that too. I think I might want to do the slope first though, right? Who am I asking?
Are you asking Dave?
I don't know. So I'm gonna grab this, paste this in, make that a group as well, get that vertical, move that in to right there. And I kind of wonder if I could just think if I rotate this, it's going to distort too much, but hey, trying things that turn out to be bad ideas seems to kind of be my thing, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab that.
That's how you become better, right?
That's right. It's called learning from my failures. Ooh, we could rename this whole series to that. All right. So that actually worked pretty good. Now I can take that same surface, come around to this view, scale this around the middle, bring it like that. That was pretty darn close right there. All right, so now next step would be to take this bottom edge. Save would be the next step. Trick question.
Tricked you all.
Yeah, I knew it. I totally knew I was going to do that. And now maybe we'll try rounding that with round corner. I'm going to go to Fredo 6, Fredo corner. It's actually called Fredo corner now. I call it round corner, but because the predecessor was round corner. I'm going to click on Fredo corner. Good times. I'm just going to have some coffee right now.
Happy Friday, everyone.
So now is a good time to talk about the fact that, I don't know, maybe this is why this is all happening, but we actually won't be here next week. So I have to get all of my oopses and oh no's out now.
You gotta make up for next week.
Apparently so. Yeah, so I'm getting it out of the way. Next week's the 5th of July. Those of you who aren't in America, next Thursday is the 4th of July, aka American Independence Day. It's a holiday, and I won't be coming back to the office after that. So, won't be here next Friday, just so you guys know. All right, now that I got that out of the way, everything else will go perfect. Let me see. Not that one. All right, let's try. Is that on? I should actually check that first. I can't remember which one of Fredo's extensions are on the warehouse and which are not. Let's see if Fredo corner is on the warehouse. There it is. It actually has. Now it's going to shoot me over to Sketchucation, which is fine. Don't look, guys. Invalid token. So that's how my day's going. How's yours? Wow. All right. So now we're gonna go grab an updated version of Fredo Corner, apparently. I'm not sure, I didn't know your security could expire on a free extension like that. That was surprised me, or maybe I did know that and just didn't expect it to happen. Plugin not found. Sweet. All right, let's try that again. Let's go back over here. This is supposed to be the grand finale where I hit a button and the shape just shows up and I'm done and I move on to the sink. Instead of that happening, this is happening. All right, we'll try this one more time. Download. There we go, downloaded. Come on over here, go to my extension manager, reinstall my newly downloaded Fredo Corner. Oops, I did a lot. Open. All right. Now, if I go to Fredo corner and hit round, you know, some days it all works. Some days.
It's one of those days.
Man. Fredo corner. It does not say that that needs to. All right, I'm just going to uninstall it. Uninstall. I may have to restart SketchUp after this, you guys, so bear with me.
Save?
I have saved. I did save. I have learned that whenever you hit any extension, no matter how often you hit it, it's worthwhile to go ahead and hit. Why is it still saying it's there? All right. You know, I gotta say, overall, we haven't had a whole lot of issues like this, which is pretty cool. It's not cool that this is happening just like this right now, but all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close SketchUp, save my bathroom. All right. Quit SketchUp. Restart SketchUp. It's gonna go swimmingly from here on in. Anybody have any big plans for the 4th? Anybody doing anything exciting? Anybody using SketchUp over the holiday? Yeah, I agree. It shouldn't have expired. That's why I'm kind of caught off guard by this. I'm wondering if, I guess I still need this. I'm gonna open my tub back up. I wonder if it's just something I did with SketchUp. So let's check this right now. We're gonna go ahead and
Dave
reinstall.
will be using SketchUp over the holiday.
All right.
Nice.
Something fun, hopefully.
What are you making, Dave?
All right. So we should be good now.
Ooh, building furniture from Marvin. That sounds fun. You have to share those in the forum.
Fredo corner, round. Yay! I don't know. I don't know what happened there. That was weird. That was just, I don't know. I don't know what that was. All right, so I'm gonna take a look at a couple sizes here. I'm gonna grab 3 inches. That's too much. 2. 1. All right, so there's a 1-inch offset, or 1-inch round corner. Kind of like that. I might bump up to 6 segments, make it a little bit smoother. Hit the check mark. That makes sense. That's about where I'm at. Error message. Sweet.
It's just not your day.
Oh man. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I know. Ruby error. I got it. I understand where I'm at. Sometimes you get the bar. Some days the bar eats you. All right. I'm gonna try again with a little bit different numbers in there. So we're gonna go Fredo corner, round corner. We're gonna go drop back down to 4. Check mark. Huh. All right, let's try reducing our offset ever so slightly. If we do not 3.4, sorry, I meant 3/4. You guys ever do that? Mac is really smart when it tries to like, oh, you probably mean this single character, and it kills me because nothing recognizes that. All right, let's try that. Is that good? No, it's not good either, huh? Wow. Some days, man. just something. All right, so we can't use round corner. is what I have just learned. So I'm going to reverse my faces. I'm going to start by, or continue by putting this back into my main tub. This is not going the way I had envisioned it to go. I'm going to take that, oops, take that and explode it into the tub. So we have this at least. We're this close. We got this going on for us. I wonder if my edges are just so small. Is that my... Usually when I have a problem with round corner, it ends up being something like my edges just are so tiny it can't make... That's less than a 1/4 inch. It might have something to do with that. Not that I have a good solution for fixing that either. All right, well, here's the thing. I'm trying to think how far we want to go with just like getting something in there. There's a couple ways I could think of doing this right now. We could try, yeah, we may scale it up and see if round corner likes that. One of the things we could do right now, again, this goes back to level of detail, right? Because I could come in here and grab these lines and I could soften and smooth those lines, which will give me a, soft appearance inside there. Based on level of detail, that might be good enough. Unfortunately, when I say it that way, it totally sounds like a cop-out. So, we're gonna try a couple things before we throw the towel in there. I'm gonna copy this over like this. Actually, no, I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna grab this, make it a component, and I'm gonna call it tub. I'm gonna take my tub, option copy over here, and scale this up by 100. And now we have a big tub. All right, I'm gonna come into this tub, select just my edges, and I'm gonna go to Tools, Fredo Collection, Fredo Corner, and Round again. All right, and 3 inches is gonna seem pretty small right now, so I'm gonna jump up to 30 inches because we're so much bigger now. All right, so I'm gonna hit check and just see what happens. That worked. So that actually gave us our round corner. So that means it was an issue of that geometry. I think, I'm 90% sure it's this geometry right here was too small. So you can see, remember before that was less than a 1/4 inch. Now it's just over 2 feet. So my geometry is big enough now. It might be big enough that we could actually get a bigger round corner in there too. So I'm going to say Tools, Fredo Collection, Round Corner. And maybe we'll go up to, we do a 4-foot round corner? No, that's too big. That's ridiculous. Why would you even ask that? All right. 3 foot, 3 foot's too big. So that's, what it's telling me is when it goes around the corner, it'll actually create overlapping geometry and it's not gonna let me do that. So I have to drop down 34 inches, 32 inches? What did I have before? Okay, 32 inches will work. 2'8". The check mark, get my round corner, exit, and then what I can actually do is select and delete this big version because I have my original version right down here, which now has nice round corners. Teeny tiny, but they're nice and round. So that gives me that little nice soft inside corner there. Whew, made me work for it, but we got it. All right, I'm gonna come in here. One other detail was that rounded corner in the front of the tub. And to do this, I'm just gonna throw an arc right here, a tangent arc, pull that to the other side, and then Alt erase to soften that. All right, with that, that's my initial tub. I could come in here, well, I'll just go ahead and do it. Show me this. I'm going to right here. is the surface. So I'm just gonna do this to get a quick drain in there. There we go. And maybe I'll select all that geometry too, and maybe I'll just throw a nice light silver on there. All right, so there we go. There we have our tub. Whew. I feel like I fought a lot harder than I should have. Okay, breather. Man. All right, so if I want to take this now, I want to take this piece that I have. Actually, know what else? Because I'm a glutton for punishment, apparently. I don't like this nice sharp corner up here. That looks like injury. So I want to soften that too. Since this is currently, whoops, did I just draw that? I did. I just drew that out of context. I'm gonna grab that, Command X to copy, double click to enter my component, and edit, paste in place. There you go, that drops it into the tub. It is still a component, so I'm just gonna copy it back over. Again, scale it up by 100. And now I'll come up here and I will get rid of the rest of this. Now I have just this edge around the outside here, and after I save, I will go to Fredo Collection, round corner, and try this one more time. See if it'll let me go a little bit bigger on this one. That's 3 feet. How's 3 feet sound? Boom, do it then. Oh, we got a little weird geometry here, but we'll check that out. Something lapped back over. I don't know what this is. That was odd. Anyhow, it's gone now. That is, every once in a while that Fredo corner will do that where, actually it's kind of interesting because normally what happens in a case like this where you round it over, it'll end up creating that surface back over that fills that gap. So it kind of like covers the tub back up. So I was kind of surprised that didn't show up, just a little edge showed up. Having said that, all right, we have the tub I think we were looking for. So I can delete this, and I'm gonna come back down here. So this is already a component. So we have already created this, saved it as a component. But what I want to do right now is I'm going to right click and I'm going to say save as. I'm going to save this to my desktop and I'm going to call it
hardest bathtub ever.
ridiculously difficult bathtub. Way more challenging than it should have been on a Friday bathtub. I'm going to call it the Friday tub. All right. So what I just did was created a component in a container separate from the actual SKP file I'm using right now. You guys have heard us talk about components and how what they actually are is they are SKP files. They're actually just SketchUp files that are in a separate piece. This SKP file currently has a copy of the component plus all this geometry plus mark plus my image. I don't want to grab this and import it into my bathroom. Go ahead and close this. I'll save it. I'll still save it. And if I go into my bathroom right now, I can say File, Import, and I will go to my SketchUp files and grab my Friday tub. And when I import it now, all I get is that tub. So I don't have all the rest of that geometry. So that's a nice option. That's something you might want to keep in mind when you go to do something like that is if you just take your SketchUp file, you're not going to be able to directly import without everything else coming in. by hitting Save As, you're taking just that component, putting its own component out over here to use. So just an FYI. All right, so I want this to be snapped back to that back corner. Hey, you know, for being what I would potentially refer to as a bit of a nuisance to get going, that looks all right. That looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Pleasantly surprised with how well that turned out. All right, time to start the abuse all over again. Hopefully you guys are, learning what not to do.
Somebody said they're using this as a learning experience.
I hope so.
like that.
I hope this is helping you guys, because, well, you saw. I don't have to explain. You saw. All right. The rest of it's going to go swimmingly. Nowhere to go but up. That's what they say. All right. Let's create a sink and drop it in here. So I'm going to save my bathroom. I'm going to go to File, New again. And I'm going to hop back over to Adobe. See, my Mac's doing weird stuff too. Like every time I switch programs, it doesn't show it. So there may be something else going on here. All right, so I selected this sink right here thinking, I don't know, I was thinking something about something. I was thinking about lofting was really my thought here. Because I thought this would be kind of cool because it has multiple ridges basically. So I have a kind of a lip up ridge here. So this could all be like probably a follow me around here. But then when we get down into here, you can see I can't do follow me because this top lip right here, and this is the bottom of the sink, they don't have the same profile. So it's not as simple as following it around. It's also not rescaling like we did with the tub. The tub had a consistent profile. So we were able to scale it this way to just bring the edges in like that. Same with the bottom. In this case, it's actually going to be a little different. Plus this whole bottom section, see there's nothing flat. This all goes down. All slopes downward. So this would be good. This is going to be a fun experience, he says with a smile on his face. Always smiling.
Sound so sure about
Always
that.
moving forward. That's the important part. All right, so I'm gonna take another screenshot, pull this in as my reference image. I don't think I need anything off of that. That's all installation. So I'm just gonna grab that. I'm gonna hop over here, File, Import, and we're gonna grab image, use as image, and I'm gonna grab that newest screenshot I just made, and yeah, make it nice and big. All right. So here's my thought. My thought is I'm gonna create the profile initially of this sink, and then I'm going to create this profile right here, this lip that drops down. And if I look at it, so it comes up, oh, this is actually a slope. It kind of slopes back down and then into flat. So create that profile here so it slopes up. This section's actually a slope down, and then this is flat. So create that profile, create this, and we'll start by just following that, swinging that around, and then we can come in from there and fill in the actual basin of the sink. So we're gonna do that. This may be an opportunity to model half as much because it does look like this sink is symmetric, as are most sinks, of course. Say that like it's a unique thing in this particular sink, but sinks are usually the same on the left and the right. All right, something like that.
Vlad says you can use sandbox tools for this model. It might help.
That is true. Sandbox tools would work on here too. I don't use sandbox tools as often as some people, and that's not a that's not a knock against it or anything like that. I'm gonna come in and change my, how's that look on the screen? A nice orange color, because I'm drawing on top of black lines again. I don't end up using sandbox tools very often. I'm not sure why that is. I think maybe it was just one of those, you know, when you start using something, whatever that thing is, you kind of develop your own workflow and the tools you prefer, and those ones kind of leap out at you. I think I just never really learned sandbox tools very well. So as a result, I just don't use it as often as some people do. There's nothing bad about them. I think they're awesome tools, and I think there's some very cool workflows you can do with them. But yeah, maybe I need to do that. I need to learn myself up on some sandbox tools. All right, I'm grabbing this right here. Because that is the height of this lip. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to put a small arc on the bottom like that. A larger arc right here. I'm going to give the material some depth. I'm going to say our sink's about that deep. Come over to here. Something like that. I'm just going to use a couple more arcs to soften these corners. Ooh, yeah, that's nice. All right. So with that, I am going to take all of this minus the image, so just those lines now, and I'm going to weld them. All right, so I should have one continuous line. Again, I weld before follow me, so I have a nice continuous curve. Follow me will break at any line breaks, so I won't have a continuous, nice, smooth curve all the way around if I don't weld it first. All right, so with that path selected, follow me, and I'm gonna click right here. All right, that looks pretty good. It's inside out, but I think it'll work. We did have a little bit of overlap on these corners. Not necessarily a bad thing. This is actually something that happens a lot. Oh, I was a little bit big. This arc, I'm actually going to undo a couple times. So this, all right, so I should be inside. I should be more like that. Maybe that should be at that line. Let's try this. All right, now I'll soften with some arcs. Oops, too small. There we go. Let's see how that works. So once again, come in here, select these lines, extension weld, and I should actually do that over here too, because I don't actually want this to break either, so I should weld that as well, because the same rules go for the follow piece. All right, select that, follow me, and click on the surface. Better, still have some overlap. Like I said, this is not a big deal because this is something that happens. So see what happens there with follow me? The geometry, it was too big to cut the corner basically. But like I said, this is not a huge deal because what I will do is when I get this, oh hey, I'm gonna save because I'm good at that. Sync. All right, I'm gonna take all this geometry. First thing I'm gonna do is reverse faces, so the right side facing out. And then while everything's selected, I'm just gonna right click and say intersect faces with selection. And that's gonna give me primarily this cut right here where these two faces These are flat faces. If I show this, they're just going in and touching each other. So because it was such a tight corner, it didn't clean that up. But now I can actually come in here, delete some of these extra lines. Actually come in and I don't need that. Don't need that. Just any of the surfaces that were created by that overlapping geometry, I can now get rid of. And I can come in with Alt and soften some of these pieces. Now there are some spots that are weird in that if I flip around on the inside, so you do have this additional geometry hanging down. But I can fortunately just grab it and delete it. I should have one on either edge. There we go. And this is basically, there we go. And then again, I think I actually had a little tiny surface here that didn't close up. This may be, we may be looking at sub-millimeter issue here. I don't know, just it was tiny geometry, I guess. We may have been able to actually, is that another snap point? No. I don't know, I started trying to talk and think at the same time. System fell apart, had to reboot again. There we go. Something weird still, I'm gonna come back to that. So grab all of that, soften, smooth. I think I end up creating geometry on top of geometry. Better? Like that better? Little tiny geometry. Not sure what's going on here. Sometimes it gets, these little tiny pieces get so small and hard to see, it's difficult to clean them. Oh, they're just lines. Or just select them and delete them. That's always an option too. Oh, these ones aren't just lines. Let's see. If I grab it and move it around, it is just extra it's extra geometry. So I might be able to just delete it and then re-stitch it. We talked about this before. I love those problems because it's kind of fun for me to go in and manually connect it. I know it's not everybody's bag, but
yeah, everyone has some tips for you, Aaron.
oh, good. What should I have did?
One person said solid inspector 2.
That would have helped.
And then another one is saying, why not offset the path line and create inside path and use follow me? It will avoid overlapping.
That's true. Yeah, I could have actually come in here and done that. That's a great idea. See, you guys gotta be louder. I was head down, thinking, talking. That was all my fault. Sorry about that.
Type in all caps and I'll make
That's
sure
right.
I relay that message.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this geometry in. I'm going to basically finish this top level geometry. This is the top. This is the bottom. So this part is like the flattest part. That's this portion right here. And I have this section which is right here. And then all of this looks like this is a rounded, sloped over right there. So that actually may have been able to, or I may be able to include that on a follow me. And then this will have to be lofted, this will have to be lofted, and this will have to be lofted. We have lofty goals. one more arc right here. All right. And there we go. Now, let's do this. I'm gonna grab, that was odd, that broke. Not sure why that broke right there. Oh, that was my overlap. That's why. All right, I definitely have to weld this. Oh, I welded some of it. Now, I've got an explanation on why that happens, but I can never quite remember why that is. I do know that weld behaves differently with connected geometry like this versus, whoa, that was weird. All right, I'm grabbing it all. There we go. Grab that, and I'm going to offset that once to here. Can I come down to here? Nope, that profile doesn't match anymore. Totally different once we get down there. All right, so that's as far as I could go. Just that one. And like I said, I kind of feel like that's actually just kind of an arc going downward. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do just that.
Dave says weld didn't work because of the fork in the edge.
We're modeling sinks, not silverware, Dave. That's just not paying attention. Because of this? Is this what you're talking about? Yeah. Yeah. Because I told it to do something it couldn't do, and then I was irritated that it didn't work. Sounds like a software user to me. All right. I'm going to unhide my image. And I'm going to come in here and round these corners again. And actually, this is going to be a bit of an issue. No, I don't want to do that because I can't use this to round. I have to use my outside profile to round. So actually get rid of all that. Because what I want to do is I'm actually going to have to follow this path. When you do something like follow me, you can only follow one path. So I don't want a path for top and bottom. If I was lofting, that's what I'd want. But in this case, I'm going to use follow me. So I'm going to grab just that top path and then follow me with this shape to take that around. I have no doubt that I have that same problem, intersecting. And this is actually another spot where, now see, there's my issue there. I might just start lofting now. We're not going to use follow me anymore. All right. Here's what we're going to do. All right. So we're going to start lofting this thing now. I'm going to go put in my arcs right here. So I have my two arcs. This is going to be the profile I'm going to try to get that nice rounded corner. I want to try to do that. So I'm actually I'll just drag this down to here. Then I'll also take that profile and I'll put that on the edge of this line. Whoops, missed it. I lost my model. How'd that happen? I dropped through the floor. All right, we put that like that. Pull that down as far as it'll go. It's right there. So that gives me that. Now all I have to do is loft a corner. I don't want to necessarily loft all this. Actually, I could probably do the same thing here. I could probably use follow me just on this first part. Let's see. Only one way to find out, and that is to try it live in front of a couple hundred people.
No pressure.
No.
Vlad wants to know if offset would work for the first path.
I actually did offset. You mean this path right here?
Yes.
I did offset, but offset is a two-dimensional tool. So it took the line and offset it. It won't take full geometry and pull it over or anything like that. So I'm going to grab that path and then lost some persistent IDs. All right, follow me just along that path. So that looks pretty sweet. That's nice. So to get this portion right here, this is where I'm just going to do some lofting. Grab this. I don't actually need the lines down here. I don't need the surface. Same thing. I don't need this or this. I do a lot of this where I'll do a group select and grab extra geometry, come back and turn it off, rather than spending time selecting a bunch of small pieces of geometry. Just throwing that out there in case anybody's interested. All right, that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and go to Tools. I'm going to go to Fredo Collection again, and I'm going to use is it not turned on? Curve Loft is disabled. Is it Friday the 13th? Like,
It's the 28th, but that's the same thing, right?
Just a little bit of everything here, man. Just, whew. All right. Curve Loft, skin contours, and there we go. Alrighty. That's how I roll. That is apparently how our day's going today. You know, the problem is that live streaming's a young man's game, and I had a birthday yesterday, and now I'm old.
Maybe that's what it is.
It is. I'm going to have to recruit somebody younger to come in and do this for me. Oh, man. Now I'm sore, and everything's going bad. All right. One more time with feeling. Turn off these lines, and these lines. Swinging around. All right. We'll go Tools. It's not there anymore. All right.
Everyone's saying you have to stay. No younger. No younger people.
What if they're more capable? Oh man, it's good. It's fun. It's something.
And everyone's saying happy birthday. So.
Oh. Thanks all. There we go. I had that kid. See, here's the thing. Much like when you work in an office, you're like, oh, do I mention that it's my birthday? Do I just keep it quiet?
Yeah, we never knew.
Like, yeah, well, it's just kind of what you do when you get a certain age, I guess. Like, just keep it on the DL. Nobody wants to admit it. And I think when you're in an even bigger group like this, it's more impulse to keep it quiet. Maybe I had to unburden that. And now that it's out there, it will be lifted and everything will go smoothly.
You ate too much cake yesterday.
I have. Oh my gosh. Okay, so speaking of being mature, I had a straight up sugar hangover today. Oh man, I came in. I did not drink any alcohol whatsoever, but my daughter made an awesome cake, and my wife bought me donuts for breakfast, and I came in this morning. I had just a headache. Stomach was a little unhappy, oh man, it was. So the nice thing is, for all you young people out there, one day you get old enough that you don't have to drink alcohol to feel hungover. You can do it just by having dessert.
Oh,
So,
yay!
yeah, something to look forward to. Oh, man. Yeah, so good stuff.
Happy early birthday, Christopher Ryan. His
Oh,
birthday's tomorrow.
All right, happy birthday. June's the best month to be born in my opinion, in my totally biased opinion.
I think it's September.
Oh, man. See, I have family who would agree with that. Like the whole rest of mine. All right. So there we go. We got our lofts in. We reversed them. All right. But it's all uphill from here, guys. I'm going to come in here, and I'm only going to soften these lines right here. And I'm actually softening them, but there's still surfaces underneath that I will have to go get rid of. So I'm going to temporarily just hide my picture right there, because I can zoom in here and just, I can actually get rid of that line right there. As usual, solid modeling is absolutely not a requirement, but maybe a nice to have. I tend to default to trying to create solid models when I can. Solid models meaning, of course, a single manifold shape. So all this ends up being one outside edge. It makes it easier for stuff. If this is ever going to go to rendering or anything like that, it makes it real easy to make sure outside faces are outside, not inside, that sort of thing. All right, so we have the top of our sink at this point. Looks awesome. And since everything's going to go perfectly from here on out, I'm feeling very good about our future. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to unhide my image, and we're going to talk about these pieces right here. So to get this in, I'm going to do that. Actually, I don't need the surface. I just want that line to work off of. I'm going to work my way out. Start with a circle right here for the drain. So that's where it's going to come down to. That's where the sink will terminate into our drain hardware. I'm going to, just like I did before, I tend to do this where I just kind of draw my lines that I want to reference first. And then I'll come back. Ooh, that actually is a straight, pretty close to straight line. Maybe a little bit of an arc there. I'm going to grab an arc, go from here to here. A lot like that. Another arc from here to here. Actually, I think this is symmetrical. I'm only going to draw a quarter of this sink. And I am going to draw a small round corner there. I'm going to use the same size arc as I round all corners. That's going to make it much easier to go in and loft, because it'll be the same number of edges. I'll get a nice even loft that way. If that doesn't make sense, hopefully it will in the near future. All right, so I'm going to do that, get rid of that. What did I just create? All right, and I got an arc going nope, not quite. I'm guessing where this arc's gonna hit the wall, so I'm pulling an arc back. That's better. Another one here. That. And another arc here. A little inside on this, but a little closer maybe. Oop. All right. All right, so there are my steps of the sink. Like I said, I think, oh, I can't. So I will have to, I can I can loft this section and this section, but this section right here, I'm gonna have to do separate, it's two separate pieces because this loft is gonna be different from this loft because of the curb at the front of the sink. But that's okay. I'm gonna grab these pieces and I'm gonna take them over here now, line them up with this point, and I'm gonna bring them up like that. Now what I can do is I can grab these different edges and offset them up to the right vertical height. You guys noticing too how not all of this is lining up perfectly?
Somebody said, why aren't you using the mirror plugin?
That's a good plugin. Actually, I just for the first time used Curic Mirror this week. Now, if you guys have seen that, it's a pretty cool extension. It's on the extension warehouse. I don't want to spoil it because I did a video on it, and you know, Kara's in charge of content, and I'll get in all kinds of trouble. But it is a very, cool extension. Like I said, a lot of you know, I haven't used a whole lot of mirroring extensions in the past. But dang, so far off. But you guys also know that I suffer a lot with man. Sorry, I'll have to come back to talk about mirror apparently because
You can't do both.
I can't do this. So I think what I'm seeing here is this is showing me the outside of the sink. That's why I'm so far off because I'm trying to follow where the slope is at, and I can't. It's so far off. So I think what I'm going to do is top-down view. Look straight down, and then just picture where's the inside. Where's this arc on the inside of this sink? Man, I'm still, so I'm actually kind of thinking straight across like that. Still pretty far off on like this. This lip looks like it's so far away from there. But in reality, this plan, so probably not going to believe this, but there's a potential that the plan is a little off. That's a thing that happens on occasion. Yeah, I just blame the plan. I know. Typical designer. All right, take that. I'm gonna take all that now. Rotate it flat. And I'm going to drop it now right here. Get rid of this. Go back to my normal perspective camera, and rather than moving this out of the way, I'm just gonna hide it. I know a lot of people don't love the hide functionality, but I like doing it to get rid of geometry when I can. All right, this is looking cool. Actually, now it looks really deep, doesn't it? It's a deep sink, that's just what it is. Now I need to get this. Oops. These are my different layers of angle here. So I will want to put a little bit of a kind of a turn on there, a little bit of an arc, if you will. Um, all right. That looks cool. I'm gonna put a slight arc on here before we start lofting. I'm gonna experiment a little bit. I don't know exactly what's gonna happen right now. Man, this one seems a little, this is a weird sink.
This is.
I don't really know. I'm making a mess out of this. I'm gonna do it. I don't even care. All right. So I'm gonna take this and this. I think this is my problem. If I move this one vertically, I don't want to go straight up. I just want a slight tilt down like that. That's what I actually want. That's almost flat. All right, so I'm gonna grab this surface and this surface, which is gonna be my arc. I'm gonna copy it out here, like that. And then I'm going to just rotate it 90 degrees. And then see how close that comes. Not so close. Okay, so was just checking that. All right.
So apparently this kind of sink is common in the high-end market.
Oh, that's the reason I'm not familiar with it. Is that what you're saying? Oh, go back to Walmart and get yourself your cheap sink, Aaron. All right. I'm gonna save. No, it is a cool looking sink. That's why I grabbed it. All right, I'm gonna try lofting this piece first. All right, that looks pretty slick.
So where did you find this sink? Somebody's looking for a photo of it on their site.
There you go. It's a Kohler K2356-4. I went through the Kohler site and just grabbed a tub, a sink, and a toilet that looked like they might go together. Yeah, that was all the work I put into it. So it is, but I liked it because it was a cool looking sink. It had a lot of faceted yet not flat geometry. Silly me. No, just kidding. All right, so there's our second level of the sink. And everything's gone so smoothly so far. So let's keep it running. And boy, should come clean about the birthday earlier. That's pretty simple. Obviously, I'm gonna reverse this one. And now I'm going to, so when you loft something using Curve-A-Loft, they do end up in their own group, in their own container. I'm gonna leave them in the container for right now while I make the copies, and then explode the geometry in just a minute. So if you guys are wondering why I have left it the way I have, there is a method to this. I'm gonna copy this over here. I'm going to scale to -1. I know, I can't help myself. It's just how I work. I've already established I'm just too old to change my tricks at this point. All right, and now, one last time, I'm going to create, whoops, I missed it, didn't I? Missed it by that much. All right, there we go.
And they can find this model on the 3D warehouse after you're finished, right?
Odds are good.
All right.
At some point. I did put up last week's just recently, so yeah, this hopefully will go up as well. All right, now that I have this copied over here, what was that? Uh-oh, I made something not straight because it didn't close. Undo. I want to figure that out before I go any further. So here is a vertical plane. What did I do? It looks like it's, oh, no, look at that. I messed something up. Had to go talking about how everything went well there.
Exactly. You jinxed yourself again.
All right, so if I pull this over, I'm gonna try to be reckless and see what happens. What could possibly go wrong? It's just a teeny tiny bit, so I think I'll be okay doing this. Nope. Dang it. All right, let's do that again. I'm not quite sure how I even did that. Use a DBO push line to push this straight up into a surface, and then, man, I just when I drew this line for reference, I did not do it right.
Blame it on the cake.
Yeah. Ugh. Stupid sugar hangover. All right. Wow. All right, now that's on surface. Now I can redraw my arcs real quick. This one wasn't an arc. This one was, nope. I think it's the orange lines. The orange lines are messing with me, you guys. Whatever I have to do to not take responsibility, that's what I'm willing to do. All right, let's check that out. Let's see how that works. Fortunately, I said this part turned out just super easy. All right. Oops. Figures. Oh, I missed a chunk. Ah, little extra line segment down there. There we go. Skin it. All right. This is going to be good. All right, there we go. Hopefully there we go. Let's copy and see. Copy these two. Scale that to -1 again. Grab that and snap it where it needs to go. All right. Anybody else do this when they're trying to look at something small rather than zooming in, move their head closer to the monitor? Like, man,
I do that.
it's still, now I'm overlapping.
So Claire wants to know why you can't just copy the other and place it on the opposite side.
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm actually copying this one and putting it over here, but for some reason, I'm not getting a clean edge right here. It might be okay, but I don't like when stuff doesn't line up when it should. So I'm gonna draw one more reference plane here. Look in here nice and tight. Sure looks like that's good. But what I'm going to do is I am going to explode these two. I'm going to cut this back to here.
Kimber says to turn on axes line so you can pick up errors.
Yeah, unfortunately, so little of this is on axes. I don't know how much I'm going to actually pick up from that. So I can come into my styles, and I can turn that on, but all these lofts are off axes. So, oop, that line. So this one, this edge is on plane. This one, for some reason, is not. That's not what I expected to have happen. Oh, look at that. Oops. All right. So this right now tells me that this is a flat edge. I'm going to check this edge too, just to be sure. Ooh, look at that. Okay, so I'm good now. So now that means I should be able to grab these. I'm going to grab all of them just to make sure. I'm going to copy those over here. I don't know what happened with you, but I don't even want to look at you. All right, I'm going to grab this, scale that to -1. And I'm going to stick that right there. And that should all line up. Ah, nice single line. Okie doke. All right, oh, actually, I'm gonna leave those there for right now. All right. Last step in the sink. Put another arc right here. Like that. Now, I should be able to grab all this.
Leo says, quick win, quick win.
Oh, hey. All right. Take these and explode them. And see, it's something still not quite perfect right here. I don't know what it is though, because it looks like it's happy. I'm actually getting a profile here rather than a nice clean edge. It is possible what's happening is as the geometry is going together, it's just not merging, it's not joining. So a lot of times what you can do with that is select those pieces that should join, right click, intersect with selection, and oh, there it goes. So it was just, that was the issue, was that it just didn't join after I copied it. All right, I'm gonna grab all this, Option and copy it.
Save.
Over. Save. I'll just do flip along because I'm really good at it. Ooh, no. Check out this new extension. I'm gonna grab all of this and I'm gonna go to, actually I don't know where it is in the Curic mirror tool. And then I'll just hover over this surface right. I gotta turn. And option to copy, and one click. This is actually a pretty dense model. All right. Ooh. All right, same thing here is gonna be an issue though. I'm gonna grab these surfaces, intersect with selection. That should get this middle line to mostly merge together. I'll probably have to do a little bit of cleanup though, and maybe just come in here and should be able to delete. This one can be deleted. it's actually along a straight surface. So can this. And on this side too, delete, delete, delete. All of this can be deleted. And this, because it's at an arc, actually, nope. No, actually, I just have to erase it. And then get rid of this and this. Nope, I have to erase those two.
Ooh, all of your followers love flip along and mirror and follow me.
Those
They're
are all.
shouting those out for this.
Woo! All right. Boom. All right. So that's most of our sync. We did have a couple of holes that are probably a standard size that I don't know. Those 1-inch holes, does anybody know? Someone knows that. I know there's someone somewhere knows something. I'm gonna pull a reference line in from the back of the sink. Not to scale, so I can't do that. All right, here's what I'm gonna do instead.
1.25 says Christopher Ryan.
Christopher, I trust you. All right, I'm gonna do this. That's the line front to back, and that should be 19 7/16 inches. Grab my tape measure, click here, 19 7/16. Resize the model, yes. Now, oops. Now I can come in and actually use the dimensions that I have on the drawing. Come in 2 1/4 first. 2.25. There we go. And I'll drop a line straight down to the surface. And that's the center one, and then 2 inches over. 2 inches over. Put a circle right here. 1.25. That was radius. I typed the wrong number, which would be a half plus an eighth. So,
Ooh, too much math.
yeah, 5/8. You guys buy that? You know where I'm at with math. We're not on speaking terms. All right, so I'm gonna take that, drag that, oops. Drag that to the bottom. Double click, whoops.
Dave did the math for you.
Is that right, 5/8 inch?
5/8, yep.
Woo! Count that as a win. I'm gonna do the same thing I did in the other one, and I'm just going to offset. Oh, I think I got some hidden geometry there. And I'm gonna give that our nice silver finish. All right, so one of the things I didn't do, I'm gonna save. I probably lost another persistent ID. Whoops, didn't like that. All right. That was weird. I wanted to fix my model and drew a face all over everything. All right,
Claire wants to know what plugin that was. Create the face.
That just happened?
I think so.
That was fix model, which I did not care for. No, I don't want that to happen. Something is weird with a surface somewhere. I was trying to fix it, and I didn't like the way it fixed it, so I don't want that. One of the things I was saying is this right here is just a single face deep. This is not does not actually have thickness right now. One of the things I could do, I could try, is I could try selecting these 3 surfaces and saving. And I could come into my tools and joint push pull thickener to try to thicken this surface. This is actually probably something I want to do at a larger scale. Well, we'll see. Joint push pull allow me to take interconnected geometry like this, like smooth geometry, and actually push pull it all as one. So actually, that worked not so badly. That actually gives me, so I look at X-ray, you can see I actually have some depth to that sink rather than having it just be one empty face. More than just an empty face. All right, so yeah. I'm gonna do the same thing I did before. I'm gonna select all this, make it a component. This is my sink. And then I'm going to take it and save as. On my desktop, I'm just gonna call this my Friday sink. And that way I can import it into my bathroom. Before we do that, I'm gonna take a quick break. Where'd I go? Oh, window. We're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna come back and we're gonna subdivide a toilet. I think we should actually have time to create some hardware too. We'll create some faucets and that kind of stuff. But right now, I'm going to take a quick break and we will get back at this in just a few minutes. So I'm gonna bring, oh boy, I lost my mouse. I got too many computers at once. It's a hassle. All right, come on, Mark. There we go. In my face. Okay. So I will see you guys in just about 5-10 minutes and we'll get back at this bathroom. Thank you. All right, let's get back in here. I just got to address the metric thing. I totally agree. Metric makes so much sense. Like, I've been using imperial units to do design of all kinds for, well, my whole life. So, because that's what was taught to me. But it's weird, right? When we take a thing that we call a foot and break it into 12 pieces. Okay, I guess that's a thing. But then we'll take those 12 pieces and we'll break them down into different fractions depending on what use case. I mean, that's what's always got me. So I did, a lot of architectural type building designs. We did everything in 16ths, and some people do 30 seconds. And it's weird, man. Like, I'm with you. The nice thing about, metric is everything's 10. You take a big thing and you break it into 10. And then you break that into 10 smaller pieces. And there's a lot of logic there. I really like it. It's a lot easier to do the math in your head, that's for sure. My biggest problem is I just don't have any context for how big those things are, You talk about a meter, I'm like, 3 feet-ish? So then how big's a millimeter? I don't know. Like 30 millimeters, I don't know where that is. So if I ever say I can't do metric, it's not out of a lack of respect for the system. It's because I spent decades making myself think in foot, inches, and 16ths. So it's rough. It's silly. It's life. It's just the way it is. It's one of those, you can complain about it, but All right, I'm gonna drop this sink in now. I'm going to come in here, file, import. It's all scaled to the right size, so it should be as simple as going in here and telling it to import an SKP file, grab my Friday sink, import, and I should be able to, ooh, that's a big sink, my tiny inexpensive countertop. All right, I'm gonna drop it vertically. I'm gonna grab by the bottom, drop it right down to the top, turn it like that, and I'm gonna slide it back just shy of the wall, something like that. Ooh, that's a good looking sink. I'll probably grab it by the middle here and bring that to the middle of those two cabinets. Looks pretty good. I'm not quite sure where our why this safety cover showed up again. Apparently SketchUp refixed my drawing again somewhere around here. There's a break in my geometry. That's good. This was straight across here. All right, that's better. Looks all right. Just run around the edges and trying to figure out why it decided to weld all this together. I think it has something to do with these little teeny corners right here, but I'm just guessing. Yeah, these are pretty small pieces of geometry right here. Same thing over here. Actually, what I should probably do is Dave method this thing. All right. All right, so. All right, so there, that's what I would expect. I'm gonna grab this corner, option copy it, drop it right there. And of course you'll notice that I did not cut a hole into my countertop, so the sink is just going right through it. So what I would generally do is I'll double click to come into this context. And here's how I would go about this. Whether this was a circle or a oval or whatever, usually what I end up doing is just kind of cutting a big square like this. Grab that line right there, slide it back under the sink. Have this right here, slide it over, and there we go. We got a hole for the sink. And what I could probably do is I could probably hide the rest of my model, grab this shape right now, option copy it, stick it right here, and then when the rest of the sink shows up. All right. So there we go. We got a tub and we got 2 sinks. Sweet, getting there. All right, this is the fun. This is what I've been looking forward to the most, is creating a sub-D toilet. I haven't done this before. This has always been one of those shapes that I thought would be kind of cool to do, but I've never done it. I'm gonna save this and actually close this one. And we'll take a peek at this toilet. All right, so that's it. That's what it looks like.
Nice.
I don't quite get this front of bowl thing. Is this the footprint? I'm assuming this is the bottom, is what this is supposed to say. It says it's labeled as front of bowl, but I don't think that's right. All right, so I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so I can get all this in one screenshot. Grab this information. I don't need the stuff in the corner up there, or up there, but I do want to get that bottom section. All right, so I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to go back into SketchUp, File New, and I'm going to File Import, go back to Images, grab my screenshot, import it as an image, make it nice and big. Just like when you're dealing with, we talk about scaling up, we talk about the Dave method, that kind of stuff, where we need to make stuff bigger to work so we don't run into the small edge issue. That is especially apparent when you're dealing with smooth geometry. So when you are dealing with lofting, follow me around curves, subdivision, that kind of stuff, the bigger you can work in, the less issues you'll run into. So in this case, I'm just scaling my toilet way up. It's going to be well over 6 feet tall, and that's cool. That'll be okay for what we want to use it for right now. All right, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start with a rectangle. I'm going to use, like I said, we're going to do subdivision. So I'm going to use vertex tools a lot. I actually have a shortcut key for vertex tools, which is assigned to the letter V on my keyboard. It's also on my mouse. That hops in and activates vertex tools for whatever's selected. I'm also going to come up here and tool palettes and turn on quad face tools. There we go. So this is going to give me a bunch of, it's kind of cut off, I know, but if I go anything below this one, nope, I won't actually use these two down here. It's a draw line and live mesh analysis. So good, UI did not get cut off unless I raise this arm too much. Then I'll hide UI. I'll try not to do that. No promises. Sometimes I do just raise this arm. I don't know. All right, so I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna start with a rectangle, because that seems like a good place to start. All right, so something like that. Now, when I start thinking about how to break a model down into quads, I basically start by looking at one side of the model. So I'm going to start by looking at this side right here. I'm going to take this image and I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to take my image now, flip it this way, flip it this way, and I'm going to grab that edge right there and put it in the middle of my rectangle. All right, so I can already see that this is not exactly to scale. This bottom is not the same size, so we'll scale that up. Again, go figure. Not a perfect to scale drawing. It's nice to see that other industries have that. It's not just an architectural thing, that the images aren't always perfect. All right, now what I'm going to do, I'm sorry, hopefully I didn't offend anybody by saying the images aren't always perfect. I make images like that, so I make drawings. I'm saying we all have room for improvement. All right, I'm going to take this now, and what I want to do is I'm going to use push-pull. And I'm going to, every place that I think I'm going to want to resize my mesh, I'm going to create a new surface. So I'm going to step up once to this little break here, so I have a little kind of coming in like that. I'll bring it up to here maybe one place in the middle of this, then here, then here, then here, then here. I'll do the seat separate. So maybe I'll just do the base as one mesh, and we'll do the tank as a separate mesh, and the toilet seat as a third. So I'm just going to, any place I would want to break this for geometry, I'm going to create a new push-pull. I'm not going to use the regular push-pull though, because I'll pull this first one up. So that's my first break. I can hit Option to create a new one because I want to keep this line. That's the whole point of what I'm doing. The problem with a standard push-pull is it actually leaves a surface in here. If I delete this out, you can see this piece surface is in here. And what happens when you subdivide a surface like that, it's going to basically keep tension on that joint so it doesn't end up smooth. It'll actually end up like sharp because of that surface back behind it. So what I'll do instead is if I go back to my tools and I pull up my Sub D toolbar, and these are both toolbars are extensions from TomTom. He has a special push-pull, and his push-pull works the same way, but if you do Option and copy something up like this, if I look in here and delete, it doesn't keep that inside surface. So I'm going to try to remember, again, training your brain on all this stuff. I'm going to try to remember to hit his push-pull rather than the standard push-pull as I work my way through here. I'm going to create a new surface partway up that. That's going to go up to about there. Probably have a break in between here. Come up to here. And then one more like that. All right, so again, what I would probably do at this point, this is probably where I would triple click and make this into a group. And now in this group, I will probably go select like this and start using vertex tools to reshape this. So I'll go V and then maybe bring this in. That's that little foot type thing there. Come right here, pull that in a little bit like that. And then actually back here, I'll probably drop this down to there. And this one, I'm gonna model the front and the back kind of independent of each other. I still have enough divisions to do it, I think. So basically, the idea behind subdividing is you create these broad sweeping geometries that are used as basically a template to then afterwards go in and create smoother geometries. All right, so maybe something like that. So I'm going to take that right now, turn off X-ray. Just looking at that, here's what happens if I subdivide that. Oops, got selected. Okay, so you see, we're getting the general smoothed over look of our toilet. Obviously, I only did one dimension right there, and there's a whole lot that's left to be added. But that's the general idea. That's the direction we're going right now. I'm gonna undo that, and there's a couple axes I want to add some geometry to. First one being, whoops. If I look at it this way, it's monolithic right here. Whoops. I made a mistake here. Better bring that back up. It still looks not right. I didn't bring it back far enough either.
Edits are tough.
Not that I'm blaming anybody for anything. It's cool. It's cool.
What's that plugin from TomTom again?
So I'm using a couple of them. I'm actually using Vertex tools. That's how I was doing all that editing and moving stuff around. I'm using quad face tools. That's this tool set right here. I haven't actually used anything on quad face tools yet, but I will. And then of course Sub-D is the big one that I'm using right now because that is the subdivision tool. All right. All right. So the other thing I was saying, I want to get some more detail here. I want the bowl to go, not just be straight across. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use quad face tools to add a loop. And a loop just says, this is one of the things about, this is the way quad geometry works, is because it's interconnected four-sided pieces, it can really find chains of geometry. So right here, if I look around this whole model, all the way around, this is a bunch of rectangles connecting. So I select one edge on here and say, insert a loop. Right there, it's going to put that, basically break all those rectangles right in half all the way around. So it's a nice way to model because it's real easy to do that kind of thing. Same thing going this way. I'm obviously going to need more breaks, and I can't just have this monolithic chunk right here because I'm going to have, it's going to go in at the back of the bowl. It's going to kind of curve back. So I'm going to have to come in here and add a couple loops here also. So I'll go add one here. And for right now, I'm going to add another one here. So that's my basic geometry for the bowl. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this image again, grab it by the middle, copy it to right here, and then swing it around to 90 degrees. And from here now, and start editing some of this geometry. So I'm going to grab this chunk right here. And Vertex Tools gives you this widget. The widget has these move tools, so I can grab these and just scoop pieces wherever I want to. Or if I grab the other end, it'll actually scale. So I can do stuff like scale like that. Take this top section, make that a little bit thinner. And this is cool. The reason I like this step so much is it's kind of like, well, it's sculpting. So rather than, precision modeling, I'm actually ended up doing like kind of sculpting together the geometry I want to see. As I do this specifically, one of the things I should point out is it's not always super easy to get exact geometry when you start talking about subdivision modeling. What you're going to do is get approximated locations of points like this, and then when you actually select and subdivide it, it's going to go in and round your geometry based on those points. So we're touch on a couple other things that make that a little bit easier, but just something to note, it's not always a quick and easy process to get exact models exactly the way you want them. Sometimes you have to go back and overcompensate one way or the other before you subdivide to get the final smooth geometry that lines up with what you're actually looking for at the end. All right, this is coming along. This is all right. I'm actually gonna have to do this as a couple separate pieces. So I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna grab these lines right here, and I'm gonna move them vertically in line with this. Same thing here. Oops. Nope. Redo. I want this point right here to move to right here, and this point right here to move to right here. Same thing on this side. Line that back up. Line that back up. All right. Looking good. All right, I want to take this whole corner right here, all these lines, and I'm going to bring them backwards. Start to get my bowl shape. Same thing right here. Oop, grab too many. I can fortunately add and subtract from selection just like I do actually I should have done those. I'm gonna undo it. I'm gonna do it right. I should have taken both those lines back together. So I'm gonna select one side, and I'm also gonna select the other side. There you go. And now use vertex tools to move both those edges back together so they are uniform. Awesome. And I'm gonna grab this line right here and this line right here. Vertex tools pulls back a little bit. Oh yeah, that's good stuff right there. All right, grab these lines right here. All of these lines. Pull them in. Starting to look kind of toilety in a good way.
Looking good.
All right. So I already have some spots that I know I'm going to want to kind of sharpen. So this top, this line right here, I don't want too extreme. Actually, no, I do want to do this. I don't want it to be too extreme of a bend. I don't want to turn over too far. So I'm going to crease it. I'm going to crease it to about, let's see what 65% looks like. Oops, solid inspector instead of sub D. Yeah, so that's okay. I am dealing in the, right now I'm subdividing to the lowest, the coarsest subdivision level. I can hit the plus key and actually go a little bit deeper. But yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm looking for there. I want to keep a little bit of a rim there. I actually want to do the same thing to this right here. This is where quad face tools comes in. Rather than coming around and clicking one side at a time, I can grab this line right here and tell it to select the entire loop. So those lines as they go all the way around. And I can take those and I can say crease that. We'll do about the same. How about 55%?
Save.
Oh, come on. All right. Command S. Ooh, haven't even saved this once yet.
Ooh, that would have.
Good call, somebody. Whew. That would have been a drag.
Have you been using shift for all those moves?
No.
Oh.
I have not.
There you go, Christopher Ryan.
Should I be?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question.
All right, the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this loop right here, grab it all the way around. Doesn't quite work the same on faces like this. The loops kind of work better when you're working on the 3D portions of geometry. I'm gonna grab all of this. This is the portion that sits flat on the ground. I'm going to crease this as well. I'm going to take that all the way up to 100%. All right. All right, looking good. All right, so this portion right here, so it goes back to about here, and then it gets narrower. It sinks in. So I'm going to grab that whole block, front and back. Yep. I'm going to hit Vertex Tools. And I'm going to scale it this way. Vertex Tools by default, when you scales about the middle. See that, how it's scaling the same on both sides? So it does that, and it scales on both sides and pulls that together. I'm going to grab this section right here and pull it forward.
So how are you referencing the other lines with Vertex Tools?
I'm not actually referencing anything right now. That's the answer. I'm sculpting. I am full on winging this right now.
Nice.
All right, I'm gonna grab these little overhanging pieces right here. The other thing to watch when you're using Vertex Tools is it will tell you in the upper left corner how many vertices are selected. Because you have to be careful, just like in SketchUp, when you go and grab a bunch of stuff, you have to make sure you don't have geometry on the back side selected. Because whether you select and then click edit vertices, or you're editing the vertices, selecting them right from inside, you do have to be careful you don't grab a point that's on the back of the model and start moving that around, because that can really mess with your geometry. So I always keep an eye up here. 4 vertices selected. Awesome. That's all I want to pull in. All right, so that's looking pretty sharp. This vertex right here has a problem. All right, so if I do get to that point, right, so we're talking about I want this to be pushed back exactly the same as this point. A lot of times that's where I'll use move and just snap to an axis, the green axis, and tell it to line up again. So if I have that situation, I do tend to fall back onto regular move tools. That's the nice thing about using TomTom's tools is you're never locked into them. It's never like, oh, you started using this, you can't go back. That never actually happens. You can always come back in and do it, make changes with regular SketchUp. I'm going to pull the back of this bowl together just a little bit. Something like that. Maybe grab these 2 points, pull them together, subdivide. It's looking nice. All right, so one of the things that I'm definitely noticing, I gotta maybe, well, no, actually that looks like kind of what it, so I have a sharp cut here. There is a point where the bowl under here, what I really need is a top, oh, hello. All right, so what I need to do is this first. So this is gonna come back and then cut back like that. That means I need more geometry. I don't have enough geometry right now, so this point is at the widest spot. Then it's going to come back to another spot here and then run back. So I have here, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Actually, I do have enough right now. So if I grab that's an error message from Vertex Tools. I make those a lot. Actually grab all of this right here. Nope, I have 17 vertices, so that means I got something extra. I want to have, should have an even number selected right now. Oh, maybe not. 1, 2. Looks right. Well, let's try scaling it and see if something bad happens. All right. That in. We're getting toilet bowl-y. Oh, that's one. One vertex. Not enough. I want to get one on either side. There we go. 2. I feel like the Count on Sesame Street. One vertice. All right, 2 vertices. And subdivide. Yeah, yep, that's getting better. All right, so we don't quite have this sharp point right here. The reason for that is we're subdividing. I'm gonna grab these lines right. These pieces right here and slide them forward like that. These points and pull them more back in line. And I'm gonna see, I always have to experiment with this, to be honest. I'm gonna grab these 2 lines on both sides and try to crease those just a little bit and see if that holds that shape a little bit better. We'll say like 40%, see what that looks like. Closer, that's closer to that shape. You can actually add creases while you're in subdivision like this, but it does definitely slow the game down a little bit. But let's see, we'll pull it in. So we might need a pretty severe number in there to get it to pull back the way I want. Hey, 100% seems to look pretty good, but I think that's going to cause too much of a crease elsewhere. Yeah, so that's a little harsh right there, that cut. So I'm gonna actually pull that back down just a little bit. There we go. All right. You know, I want to brag or something, but it's pretty obvious that's a toilet bowl.
Somebody said, hurry up, they need to use it.
This is for display purposes only.
You can't use
not,
it.
Not fully functional. All right, looking good. I think what wrong button again. Let's use this one. I think what I do want to do is I want to pull this back in tighter in like that. Same thing up here. And whoops, I only got one. Why am I not getting? All right. You gotta go. You're my way. Look at that. Ew, I made a mistake. I'll pull this back where it should be. There we go. Back to symmetrical. Yes, I could be doing half of this toilet bowl and save myself some time. That is totally possible. That is so much something I could be doing. But I'm not.
That's too easy. That's boring.
That's right. And boring's not something we've been flirting with today. This is has been it's really been a thing. It's been a day. All right, I'm gonna take these. I'm gonna add a little bit of crease here too. If you guys saw this particular toilet has kind of like sharp, not super sharp, but a defined break right there. Oh, that's good. That's better. Yeah, we're coming close. I do think though, it does look like there's kind of a sharp cut under the toilet right here, where it goes back into the plumbing. And I want to kind of come up with that look. So I'm going to unsubdivide, and I think that's going to be all about this geometry right here. Bring this up further. Bring this under like that. There we go. We're getting that undercut for sure. I think we're going to want to pinch this in ever so slightly as well. We're gonna do the same thing here. Pull these in, they're too far out. Pull those in. Whoops. All right, let's subdivide that. That's closer. I might have to actually crease that a little bit. As well as pull these 2 points even further in. Sometimes when you're doing subdivision modeling, when you're creating your control mesh, you end up over compensating. So I pulled that in pretty far. That's pretty skinny back there. Maybe go a little more, because I know that when I hit subdivide, it's going to kind of smooth outwards. Just something you have to kind of get used to, I guess, if you're doing this. I may grab though these 3 lines and these 3 lines and do a little more creasing. So I'm gonna go up to like 50%. See if that holds my bowl shape. A little better. Yeah, I don't like that very much. Maybe if I go to a higher level, higher resolution, does that look a little better? Yeah, that's getting there. Getting closer. Go all the way. That was probably a silly thing to do. So every time you hit the increase resolution button, you multiply the amount of polygons in your model by 4. So to increase that, to make it a finer model, it takes those pieces and really multiplies every surface by 4, cuts it into quads again. All right, I'm going to, maybe if I uncrease this line, let's see if this helps. Because that was a little weird looking, I didn't really love that. Let's take that down. All right, that's better. All right, so we're getting close. This is getting to look kind of like what it looks like. Unsubdivide this. So this edge around here is definitely creased. I do have a definite lip right here. Not like a not a 90%, but definitely something like that. I'm gonna grab these 2 lines and pull them in, as well as these 2. Hit the U button instead of the V button. Shortcut keys can't always save you. All right, vertex tools, pull those in a little ways. Ooh. Starting to look pretty good. Let's hide the lines. All right. I could spend all day on this. I'm gonna stop. And I'm gonna come in here and we're gonna just create an indent for the actual bowl itself. I'm gonna grab these lines. Oops, I'm gonna unsubdivide. I'm gonna grab these surfaces right here and do something with, this is the button you can just barely see over there. Connect edges tool. One. Nope, that was not the right tool.
YouTube said, did you just say you could spend all day on the toilet?
Oh man, got
Gotcha.
it, you got it. All right, I'm just gonna do this real quick because I can't remember how to do this. I'm gonna come in here and cut my geometry. Again, everything has to stay 4-sided, so when you break geometry, it's a very specific way you have to break it. we go. All right. Go back to vertex tools, grab these 2 points. Thicken those out like that. All right. Let's see. Dang, man, I really can't believe I opened myself up like that. That's...
Yeah, you're getting kind of slammed on YouTube over here.
I deserve it, obviously, because I would expect no less. All right, so something like that. I know what I can do, because this is still a flat surface, so what I can actually do, this is kind of nice, is I can just pull this straight down. Obviously, once I get too much further, I can't just do that. It becomes a little bit more work, but in this case, that's kind of nice. And grab that, those edges right there, I'll crease them. I went 65 on the outside, I'll match that now. All right. Hey. You didn't know better. All right, so I will now, whoops. See, this is so here's the difference between vertex tools and regular moving. If I move in plane, I got no issues here. But if I grab this right now and I try to move it out of plane, it's gonna auto fold. So it'll let me move it by creasing the geometry. But when I'm done, I have a bunch of triangles, and they're not symmetric triangles. Look what's going on over here, rather than my nice 4-sided shapes. If I grab vertex tools and do the same thing, those same 2 lines, and I just move them vertically, it maintains my quad geometry. It doesn't always do it perfectly, but it does prevent it. Whoops. Prevents my geometry from getting not good. All right. Something, I don't know how well you can see this, but if I look at my hidden geometry, it does still break the geometry. What it does is it takes the inside pieces and it breaks them, and it hides and smooths this edge automatically, is basically what it does. This looks pretty good, but you can see there's some inconsistencies. It's cutting them the same direction every side rather than cutting them opposite, because I'd like them to actually go left and the right to be mirrors of each other. So fortunately, Quad Face Tools has this little button you can click to just flip the axes real quick and easy to get symmetrical geometry. Ooh. So there we go. That's going to be the base of my toilet. I'm going to do this next part hopefully quickly, because I can't, YouTube said I can't spend all day on the toilet, so I'm gonna spend some time on some other parts. Oops, wrong button. There we go. I'm gonna do something here. All right, so this time, take this section right here, vertex tools, bring that out. Grab this right here, vertex tools, bring that out. And the top, go a little further. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this loop right here. Actually, I need to clean this up first. Grab this loop. So I'm going to say select that all the way around. I'm going to use vertex tools to kind of pull it back in. And I'm going to grab this loop right here all the way around. I'm going to use vertex tools to bring that in both directions fairly significantly. What that's going to do now is when I hit subdivide, oops, I didn't group it yet. When I hit subdivide, that's going to give me kind of a scene there. So where the lid and the bottom part, I don't want to model those separately, where those are going to meet. You can also see on this, we have a whole lot of creasing to do because that basically turned into a ball. So we have a whole lot of geometry that we need to grab. I'm going to start by using the top and the bottom. And, whoops, this, plus this, plus this, plus this. I'm going to grab those all real quick, crease those to like 80% or something, so they're going to almost be a 90-degree angle.
Did you save?
Not recently. I'm going to save.
Thanks, YouTube.
And, all right, that looks better. And I'm also going to grab this line here and this line here and crease that to like almost 100%. That's the flat against the wall part. Maybe we'll go like 95%. And we have pretty close to that kind of thing. It looks like it goes straight and then it arcs. So what I might do is take this whole section, scoot it out, grab this right here, and insert a loop, and now subdivide and see, whoops, or solid inspector it. There we go. There, that, see that? By adding, I didn't have to change geometry at all. I just added that loop. So that extra geometry caused my arc to be a little bit smaller. So if I increase that, that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Where are we at? 3 o'clock. Let's think about how much more time to spend on this particular model. All right, I'm going to do the seat pretty quick, because the seat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, unsubdivide here, grab all that, copy, come out of context, edit, paste in place, give it all some depth. We'll make it a group, and just for fun, just gonna hit. That's pretty close to what we want already. Obviously got some geometry to, oh well, that's good to know. Got some geometry we need to clean up, like this back section. We want to take, well, back like that, and then we're gonna probably want to take both these rings, so that loop and that loop, and use vertex tools to bring it in a little narrower here, a little narrower here, and then maybe subdivide that. That's a pretty good seat right there. A little bit higher. Right. So one of the things that's happening right now, if I look inside, we don't seem to have a bottom. So I'm going to hide the rest of my model, take a peek underneath. Yep, that's an issue. So I will have to, here, let's do this. If I draw lines right now, it's going to create surfaces in between each of those segments. So I'm just going to grab this whole top surface, copy it down, click on the white portion, and hit Orient Faces to flip it all back. I'm going to grab 2 loops real quick. I'm going to grab this loop right here on the outside and this loop right here on the inside with Shift held down to get both those turned on, and I'm going to give them a little crease. Like, yeah, 65 sounds good. I'm going to come to the top, grab those 2 loops. That's a 65 right now. Some of them are I'm gonna set those down to something more like maybe 35. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks, even that might be a little high, but it's gonna work for what we're doing. All right, so there's our toilet seat. Let's subdivide this real quick so we're good solid look. All right, I'm gonna unsubdivide this one last time. I'm gonna come in here, grab these surfaces, Control C, out of context, edit, paste in place, make that a group, come in here and actually seriously simplify this geometry. Get rid of all these interior faces. I'm just gonna make this super simple. I do need to keep it quadded, so I do have to put all these lines in, but that's really all I need. So go ahead and give that some depth. And once that's done, I'll do the same thing. I'll just grab this geometry, because I don't want to have to create a bunch of internal faces. If you do ever use push-pull or copy or draw lines and accidentally draw interior geometry, that is a spot where Solid Inspector is great, because it will, with one click, fairly easily let you, clean it all up. All right, I'm going to orient faces again. I'm going to grab my exterior loop right here, same thing I did before. I'm going to crease that to a higher, maybe 80 degrees or 80%. I don't know if this has, it does, that's at 34. I'm going to pull it even lower. All right, so let's subdivide that. Yeah, good enough. All right, increase that. That looks good. Subdivide that. That's a pretty good looking toilet right there. All right, so one of the things I'm gonna do real quick, so this is actually consists of 4 groups. I'll make a copy of it over here. I'm gonna make this into a single group.
We have some questions about the triangles.
Triangles. All right, let's talk about triangles.
So the triangles on the sides are okay?
Triangles on the sides. Oh, these right here? Well, here, let's check this out. You're right, I actually did that. I could actually have kept it simple like this. Each of these now is 4-sided, so that will actually work just fine. So I had extra geometry in there. Yes, I mean, short answer is the subdivision engine in Sub D will subdivide triangulated geometry if it is, as far as I know. I'm not sure, I haven't seen TomTom on here, but as far as I know, it's okay with some triangles. You wouldn't want to hand it a complete triangulated mesh and tell it to subdivide, but I believe if it's a triangle surrounded by quads, excuse me, that'll be okay. What it can't do is go the other way. I don't want to have a 5-sided polygon or more, an n-gon, because that will actually cause problems and you'll end up with some weird looking geometry if you do that. So yes, so good call. Thank you very much. That was extra. I had some spare geometry in there. Which is always what I'd like to challenge myself with when I go into model with Subdivision, is what's the fewest number of polygons I can have in here and get the geometry I want. It's real easy to go in and make a bunch of small little quads and then have it smooth over. But using creasing and smart geometry, what's the fewest you can actually put in there? All right, so I have all this in one group. I'm actually gonna go in here right now, and right now it is still still subdivided geometry, so I could actually come in here right now and toggle this on and off. Before I export it out though, I can come in here and I can actually grab all these and I can say, I'm gonna save. Save. And then I can say explode. So now it's no longer subdivided geometry. It's just geometry. So I can grab all of it and I can do things like soften and smooth to get rid of those extra lines. Ooh. Yeah. And I can take this now, make it a component. And just like I did with the other pieces, I can save as to export this as my Friday toilet. That makes it sound like I got a toilet for every day of the week. I don't.
You could make one in SketchUp for every day.
That's right, we could. We could actually, we'll just make an array times 6, and I'll just rename them. Oh no.
No.
Error, that's too many toilets. Now I feel like I'm at Lowe's. All right, so enough of that. No, we don't need to say that last change. All right, so here we are back in our bathroom.
Ooh, we got a good question.
Yes.
What's the benefit of geometry versus sub-D geometry?
So the subdivide, there isn't one. Truth is, so some of the things is with the subdivided geometry, it keeps those extra lines in there, and then it smooths everything that's outside of the quad geometry. So it looks kind of weird. So smoothing it over is easy if it's exploded geometry. The other thing is, if I was ever to go in there and accidentally unsubdivide it, it would look ugly or weird. So by dropping it back in as it is now, so if I come in here and import it, grab my Friday toilet. Ooh, guess who forgot to scale? All right, did I still have it open? Let's go open it up again. Give me a dimension on here. How tall? How tall? Oh, there we go. 31 inches.
Ooh, that's
30. It's big. Look at that. Look at Mark compared to the toilet.
It does.
31 and an
It's as
eighth.
big as the room.
All right. (31 1/8 inches). Yes. That did not do what I was expecting it to do. All right, let's go into here. And now we will go scale it in context. Should ask me if I want to resize just this grouper component. Yes. There we go. That's what I was hoping for. Now, save as Friday toilet. Replace it. Let's see if this works better. File. Import. Nope. Good. Good. We're ending like we started. I appreciate that we've come full circle. You know what? I'm just going to do this. I know how big it is. All right, monster toilet.
Whatever you do, don't put Mark in the giant toilet.
He'd fit.
Scale the definition.
All right. That looks better. There we go. Grab this by the front. And line up with the middle of that space. Grab by the back. Come back here, and then I can't remember how far you had to pull it out, but that far. And with that, we have a toilet.
Nice.
So there we go. Toilet, sinks, tub. Different ways to draw smooth geometry. Some presented smoother than others. But yeah, that was fun. That was interesting.
Somebody wants to know what's the data size of the.
That's
of
a good
that
question.
component.
So let's go in here. Select everything in here. So this is 9,000 entities. So that includes every surface and edge is around, there we go, 21,221 edges and surfaces. Let's see what our sink is. Uh, 52,000.
Oh, wow.
The big difference, 21,000 and 52,000. So the big difference here is this little tiny geometry. So see all these little teeny tiny surfaces? This surface, this triangle right here, is the same amount of data as, you know, this triangle right here. So when we talk about, some people talk about that, a big file versus a small file, that really doesn't matter to a computer. It's really about the data that's in there. So every triangle has data about where it is in, you know, reference to the whole model. So a whole bunch of teeny tiny triangles like this will end up causing a small model to be bigger than what's a bigger model. And this is one of the nice things about Subdivision, is with Subdivision, you create an ordered mesh, so you end up with fewer of those. See, as we look at it, it gets a little denser right here where I had a ring, where I have this indent right here, it's a little denser, but the rest of it is fairly, I don't know, consistent as far as the size of the geometry. So that's one of the advantages of subdivision modeling versus lofting, or over here where we got follow me. Let's see how big the tub is. So if I grab everything in the tub, that's only 6,000. That's tiny. But yeah, that's a good question, because that is very important. That's a good thing to know about a model when you pull it in. See, I would, off the top of my head, looking at these two pieces side by side, I would generally assume that a toilet's going to have more geometry and thus be a bigger file than what's in something like a sink. Turns out that I would be wrong in this particular instance. But generally, if you go look at like 3D Warehouse, where you have stuff up there, you can have some crazy huge files, especially when it gets into stuff like this. When you start looking at toilets and fixtures and sinks, some of those models are created in other software, SolidWorks, something like that, where they actually create these really dense, high polygon meshes that they're just enormous. I mean, they just take up a ton of space. So that's a good question. If you are bringing in geometry from somewhere else, it's something you want to take a look at and keep an eye on, because those dense meshes, those dense models, can definitely weigh down your model, slow down SketchUp if you get too much of them in there. All right, so it's still kind of early. It's 3, a little after 3.
Oh, save.
I'm not letting you fix that ever again. In fact, I'm gonna go turn that off. I believe that's in Preferences, Files. I'm not gonna have you check my models anymore. Make me feel bad about myself. Self-esteem issues. Oh, YouTube. Cool. So do you guys have specific questions? Actually, it doesn't have to be specific questions. Are there questions we can touch on? This is kind of got to that free portion where we got done with the centered. There we go. And it's also not quite big enough to actually be at either sink, so we're gonna scale it up to Sure, we can, let's be a big mirror.
Dave wants to know
Really
what
big.
makes Teflon stick to the pan. That's his question.
Magic. You know, the only thing I know about Teflon I remember hearing about is it had something to do with the heat shielding they were creating for the space shuttle. I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that it was one of the materials they were testing for heat shielding, and they found it wasn't as good a heat shield as they wanted, but they found out it was nonstick, and that's where Teflon came from.
Fun
This-
fact of the day.
I know, I need a little, the more you know. Yeah, let's throw some textures on here. Unfortunately, these are going to be stock textures because I don't have a library of good looking wood and tile textures like some of you out there have. So I'm just gonna come in here. I'm gonna hit B. Let's see what we got for tile flooring. We'll start there. Start at the ground and work our way up. Leathers, textiles, is it in here? Nope, there's tile. So many choices. Tile various, tan, limestone, tile linen, large brown, what does that look like? All right, we can work with that. Yeah, that'll work okay. Maybe we'll do something too, like maybe we'll put up a backsplash. I'm off script right now, guys. So if this looks horrible, it's on you. Just kidding.
Oh, we have a question on Facebook.
That's not good. Yeah.
From Ray. From Ray from Canada.
Hi, Ray from Canada.
He wants to know how you can pull something out of a group and place it on a different layer or group where it doesn't identify with the original group or layer.
That can absolutely be done. What I would recommend is selecting it, cutting it, and then pasting it in place.
Oh.
Paste in place will put it at the same X, Y, Z coordinate it was originally at. And but you can switch contexts. So I'm inside of a group right now. So if I wanted to take this little surround I just put on the tub and cut it, I could leave the context. In fact, I can even hide this entire thing, and if I hit edit, paste in place, it'll go to the same XYZ coordinate, but in the context I'm currently in. So that works on layers, groups, whatever, going from one context to another. If you copy it and then paste in place, it'll go same absolute location, but it'll stay in the context that you're currently in.
So where are these textures that you're using? Where are they stored?
These are actually, the default textures are stored in the installation of SketchUp.
Ah, there you go, Christopher. He's having a hard time finding them.
Yeah, they're actually, the SKM is how SketchUp keeps SketchUp material files. SKM, that's what it means. The SKMs are actually stored somewhere inside the installation. I can't even tell you exactly where, and it's different for Windows than it is for Mac too. So generally speaking, I usually recommend using these particular materials just to get your feet wet, and as quickly as possible get your own high resolution imagery and use that instead. Because like I said, this is good stuff to get started, but it's definitely not it's not very extensive. I mean, it's a handful of samples is really what we give you, and they're not super high not that you want to do super high resolutions when you do it, but they're not the highest resolution you could get. You could probably find something that looks even better. I'm going to put a faux reflective surface onto, just a little too big. All right, I'll have to fix that. put my mirror on is just slightly, the image is just slightly too small for the big mirror I created. So I'm gonna hit position, texture. Oh, not too big, it just was too far over. There we go, slide it over. There's my mirror. Let's see, let's come up with something for my countertop. Go look into, what do I got for, not tile so much. Well, let's see what I have in here for new. That's not gonna work. Glass and mirrors, metal, patterns, roofing, stone, synthetic surfaces. Let's see what stone we got. All right. Woo! Excessive. All right, let's come back in here. Ever tell you guys I'm not an interior designer? Is that, have I mentioned that in the past? Oh, yeah, good thing too. All right, let's get some wood in here. So I'll teach you guys to ask me to show you something like this.
Wood in the bathroom. Interesting.
Betcha. Oh, it's so bad. So this is what this is. I mean, so this is an example of this texture looks all right if used in a small quantity in a controlled environment. Oh, it's not so good when you throw it in mass quantities like that. Hey, that's looking good. Look, no, it's not. I'm sorry. I can't lie to you guys. All right, let's go. Let's throw some beige on the wall too, just to really tie it all together. Somebody asked a question earlier about this UI, about this. This is not a plugin or an extension. This is just the Mac color picker. Mac and Windows, we leverage the native color selection tools that are offered to us by the operating system. So you'll see different tools depending on which operating system you're in, and yeah, that's why somebody asked why they didn't have that. It's not something extra that I have installed. It's just because I happen to be on Mac. Yes.
The crowns are so much more fun than the Windows version.
They are. It is. It's pretty fun. So, yes. To answer your question, I can throw some colors on here. Real question is, should I? We're gonna assume our shelves inside are painted white. Oops.
Wow, this is a very beigey.
It really is.
bath.
I'm assuming this is a standard or a spec-built house with the default paint. There always seems to be like an off-white, beigey kind of color, you know. It's really something. I'll get this out of the way. All right, so I don't know if you guys have ever had this issue. Oh no. Oh man. Apparently we didn't have enough plastic, what do you call that? Yeah, it's so gross. It's so bad. All right, I don't know if you guys have ever had this issue, but a lot of times, small rooms like this, it can be hard to get a good look at. So I'm just gonna throw this out real quick. One thing I like to do in this situation is we're gonna go position camera and pick where we wanna put it. I'm gonna stand right inside the door, maybe just over from inside the door. And this is what we get, right? Looking around, I can't really see everything. This is where, so I'm gonna pick a spot to look at and look down towards the toilet. And this is where field of view comes in. So if I go to camera and click field of view, now I can actually use my click and drag, need more screen, to include more or less by going back and forth with my field of view. Sometimes you're kind of out of luck. I think this entire, let me pick out the floor and see how many square feet this bathroom is. Oops, don't want to short myself. Better grab all this. Let's see how big that is. Entity info, 77 square feet. So we're not looking at a whole lot. So
Bathroom.
you're not going to be able to see a whole lot no matter what I do. But let's drop the camera a little more inside the room, maybe right here next to this. There we go. And see how much we can do if we play with field of view from here. There we go. So we actually get back and see a little bit more. But that's a spot where you may want to take advantage of field of view. There we go, look at that. So now I can actually see the whole bathroom from here. The other thing, like I showed originally, is I am actually looking through the walls too. So that's a nice option though, because that lets me, if this wall had been painted, eventually field of view will even pull me back outside of the wall. So kind of a nice thing to consider if you, especially like I said, as you have these small models. Something else to look at or think about is this right here. As I'm looking in here, reverse, get my white ceiling, there we go. As I'm looking at it like this, let me get past that little line down there. What was I saying? I got distracted. I was going to show you something else.
We have
I
a
don't remember
question,
what it
not
was.
necessarily
Good.
related to the bathroom, but to textures. So when you export a video from SketchUp, the textures form large flat faces, and they are flickering. And he goes on to say, is there a OpenGL version responsible for this?
It would be interesting to see what you're seeing. I'm guessing when you talk about flickering faces, what comes to mind is Z-fighting, where if you have multiple layers in the same spot, so if I put a rectangle over this, I get that kind of thing. So I'm guessing maybe you have surfaces on top of surfaces, and what that is that's two surfaces that look different fighting to be in front of each other. So so it looks fine from this view right here, but as I start moving around, the white of that square I just drew shows up instead. So I'm guessing that's what it sounds like it is. I don't know for sure. The best solution would be to head over to our forum and upload a video that's having that problem, and we can diagnose it there and tell you for sure if it's Z-fighting or if it's something else. I mean, I'm not saying it's not an issue with, potentially an issue with your OpenGL. It could be a video card thing, but I don't know off the top of my head without seeing it. So head over to the forum, and in fact, I'll throw it out to anybody. If you have specific questions, head to the forum. Dave Richards will be over there ready to answer your questions as soon as you show up. I'm kidding. Dave is one of our sages, one of the many users on the forum who will be excited to give you an answer to any questions you have. All right, I'm just seeing if there's any other questions. Come up here at random, trying to compare what's wrong. Yeah. And there are no dumb questions. This is so here's if you take one thing away, remember, in a situation like this, there are no dumb questions, only dumb people. And those dumb people aren't here tuned in. That's why they're dumb. So you guys are smart guys. You can ask any question. It's never a dumb question. Oh, what I was going to say is shadows. So one of the nice things, of course, that SketchUp does, it gives us shadows. When you're inside a room like this, it can actually cause a little bit of a problem because, you know, I have no light now. But you can actually select individual surfaces. So I can come in here and I can say, grab the ceiling, for example, and don't cast shadows. That will allow light to fall in. I can actually do the same thing with things like my walls and turn off cast shadows. I do the back of the walls too, which will actually let light in. Not that you'd want this specific thing, but if I really want to know what kind of shadow my toilet casts, you can do that. So you don't have to have, you can cast shadows even if you have surfaces covering up. So just something I wanted to throw out there. I don't know why I felt compelled to tell you that, but there you go. That looks really weird. I'm going to have to undo that a couple times. All right, what else you guys got? Turn on my normal well-lit bathroom like that. Christopher is having issues with transparent materials not looking the same. Like not looking the same as when you work on them now, like an older model coming in looks different. They look different even though they're the same material. What could be happening, remember every surface, everything that exists has a front face and a back face. So depending on what's going, especially if you're talking about something like a piece of glass where you have face like that, the front and back faces can have an impact on what it actually looks like. So if I take, actually I want to keep that a cube. So if I come in here and I'll just go to my stock materials and I'll go to glass. Glass and mirrors. I'll just grab my blue here. So look at this surface right now. This blue material that I applied is on the front and the back. So anytime you pick a material, it's going to give you the front and the back. It is possible with this to have a different color material on one side than the other. And that can give you some weird appearances depending on how you look at it, what direction you look at it from. So I don't know, again, this is another spot where your specific model posted to the forum would help me or a Sage or somebody else specifically diagnose what the issue is, but it's possible it's something like this where you have an inside face has a material on it, that's why it looks different. But again, I'm just guessing. I don't know, there was, you mentioned that some of your, one or more of your models is from an older version. We did change how transparencies were handled. So if you're saying, when I run it in 2016, it looks different from when I run it in 2019, that's probably true. We changed how transparencies are displayed to the screen. So an older model transparency won't look the same. If you're saying I take a model from here and I bring it in here, it should look the same because the transparencies are rendered the same, but it's possible that something's incorrect. So same thing, not to throw it all into the forum, but when it comes to troubleshooting a very specific issue in a specific model, there's really no better solution than actually getting the model and trying to fix it there. So yeah, I would say bring your model up to the forum and share it, and I bet we could get it figured out. You bet. Or is that, were you thanking somebody else? I'll take that thank you. You're welcome. Awesome. Well, guys, we are at 3:30, which is usually when we start talking about wrapping up. But just to throw out, hi. Somebody just joined and said hi. Again, thank you all for coming. We had a ton of people on again. That's awesome, especially considering so many of you are like, it's nighttime.
Somebody said we were their Netflix instead.
Aww.
Netflix alternative.
That means a lot in this day and age. That's like,
It does.
that's really saying something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I said, we like doing this because you guys are here. Otherwise, it wouldn't be quite as much fun just sitting alone and doing it. But we do rely on you guys for input. So we like to hear what you think we should model, what you want to see. Let us know. Leave comments. We're gonna sign off here in a few minutes, but we'll leave the chat running for another 10 minutes or so. So if you have some good ideas of things you'd like to see us model, specific workflows or specific models, if you have specific questions, go ahead and let us know that. We're always looking for good ideas of fun stuff we could model. So let us know what you have. Also, I just have to acknowledge it now. I didn't notice it happen because I was a little head down, especially in the beginning of the video where things weren't going quite as smoothly as I probably would have liked them to go. But Kara was saying that we had another Blender attack, which is a shame. I'm sorry I missed it, but yeah, just so you guys know, my boss does know I'm doing this, endorses this, and this is actually my job. I'm not in trouble for sneaking off and doing this. Or they were commenting on you guys watching this instead of doing your job. I don't know what it was, but yeah.
It was strange.
it was creative at least. I was a little let down, but that we got trolled. I thought that was kind of a big thing, you know. Hey, somebody's trolling us. We've made it. And then they kept attacking Boulder, talking about IPA on Pearl Street and legalization of marijuana, and nobody who's ever worked on this live stream lives in Boulder, so.
That is true.
And most of the jokes you're making were kind of funny a while ago. I don't know. It's kind of.
YouTube didn't even know we worked for SketchUp.
Well.
Jokester.
I don't buy that. Yeah. A curvy building. We could do something like that. Plugins. We could talk about plugins. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there is usually some intention to the way I go about doing things. I usually try to, as much as possible, show native modeling for the first part of whatever we're doing, and then usually end up going off onto some extensions. So, not always. Iron Man's helmet was pretty much straight into Curveloft. When we did the one called Organic Modeling, I think we talked about Soft and Smooth a little bit, but that was straight in there. But yeah, we really try to cover extensions every one of these episodes too. So, yeah, I'm gonna try to stay away from actually installing and learning extensions live though. Unless, if you guys really enjoyed that for some reason because you're sick, let us know, and maybe you can pick out an extension and I won't look at it beforehand. Just install it and try to use it, but I have a feeling that's not the best use of your time. I bet you guys want more than that. Yeah, I know. That didn't always go super awesome. So, anyhow, we're gonna wrap it up here. It's after 3:30, and we sure are gonna go enjoy some time off, some weekend time. And like I said, we won't be back here next week, but we will be back the week after, possibly with a special guest. I'm not gonna guarantee anything, but we might have somebody special on the podcast. That's right. Or on the podcast, the live stream. So at that, we're gonna sign off. So thank you guys very much for coming by. Again, leave comments. Let us know if there's something we should do different, do better, do more of, do less of, whatever you think. And we will see you in 2 weeks. So not next Friday, but the Friday after. So thank you very much, guys. I'll see ya.
See ya.